this is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling with Platinum against AEW Dark Elevation. This is from 2 nights ago, June 7th, 2021. It was episode 13. It ran about an hour, 12 minutes long, 10 matches. This is the proper length. This is the proper rhythm. This was my favorite AEW Dark Elevation to date. I'll explain about my grading system and all of that as we move forward. We open in an unusual way for AEW Dark Elevation, but it's Santana and Ortiz cutting a promo in the stairwell about their last tag title opportunity in AEW. It's made them hungrier. They will be back for the top spot. Be warned, they're coming for the bucks. Love it. Match number 1. It's going to be Jade Cargill. And it's nice to see Riche Chanel back. I absolutely love it. Mark Sterling's at ringside for Jade. Now, in these matches, which are uneven matches, you can call them squash matches. You can call them foregone conclusion matches. In those kind of matches, it's a 3-check system. 1 check if the proper person is put over in an memorable fashion, and certainly Jade Cargill did win here with her chicken wing face buster glam slam. A second check mark if she looks powerful in the process. She most certainly did. Cargill got some offense, but this was really about showing Jade's dominance. And then a third check mark if the person does a good job in defeat or is given a disproportionately high amount of offense. In this case, Riche Chanel does her job incredibly well. And afterwards, Sterling grabbing the microphone, accusing AEW of exploiting Cargill. And there's going to be contract renegotiations and all that stuff. I thought that's a nice, interesting take on how to try to get Jade some heat, since she's such a spectacle and such a clearly incredible attraction. Keeping her heel is going to be a challenge, but it seems like they're up for it. Let's see if we can get our 4th Elevation show with 3 check marks all day long. We shall see. Second match, Santana and Ortiz against Liam Gray and Adrian Alanis. Let's face it, this is about Santana and Ortiz looking strong, and they most certainly did. Often Santana and Ortiz give up a lot of offense to their opponents. I think it's the right move to not do it in this case. We're really wanting Santana and Ortiz to look strong and get a push. Liam Gray and Adrian Alanis do a good job making sure that happens. Good stuff. I'll go ahead and give this 3 check marks as well. We'll get a little segment with the Dark Order, who are excited about Evil Uno's TNT title bout on Dynamite. I don't know why the hell they're excited, since Miro is going to absolutely rip him in half. And then Uno said, I'm not looking past Danny Limelight, which is a match he has later. Again, I really like, this was my favorite episode of Elevation so far. It just looked really, really, really good. This segment was great. The Dark Order get to do their little routine, and it's all good. Scorpio Sky in a solo match against Trevor Red. Ethan Page is on commentary for his partner. And again, this is something that AEW does really well. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page just lost a big match in a tag match, so they bring Scorpio Sky out as a solo act, but with his partner there on commentary. So that way they can kind of let the team sort of lose the stink of the loss and still get to see at least one of them in action. Scorpio Sky sticking with that heel hook. Gets the win. Trevor Reed does a perfectly fine job, 3 check marks. Varsity Blondes are hyping their win over the Chaos Project, and they're going to take on the Wingmen later. See what we're doing here. They're really doing, and you're saying, well, Steve, aren't you against using one half of the show to promote the other half of the show? I would say normally yes, but I think only a fool would say that Dark Elevation and AEW Dark are A-list shows, right? They're shows with the intention of getting people over and letting the guys get their yayas out and getting some promos in who normally don't get time on Dynamite, etc., etc., etc. And it serves that purpose very, very nicely. And moving on, Brian Cage and Will Hobbs against Trevor Aeon. Really great to see Trevor Aeon here. He's a Georgia guy, a guy who people root for, and to see him here on AEW Dark Elevation was not only, I just got to admit, a bit of a surprise. He did a great job on this card. Taz is on commentary here for Brian Cage and Will Hobbs, who are his dudes, most definitely. Cage is going to hit that drill claw, and he most certainly does. Hobbs doing 9 straight body slams, and then once the fans started cheering for him, he didn't do that 10th body slam, which I thought was pretty funny and pretty clever. Great job for Trevor Aeon. Congratulations being on the show. And Kendall Blake, 3 check marks. Moving on. Danny Limelight, who is one of the better enhancement talent guys they have against Evil Uno. -1 is at ringside. The Ripcord Flatliner, I think, looks really great by Evil Uno, and they have themselves a good little competitive, I would almost call this a competitive match, and while this isn't a competitive match because it is a foregone conclusion match, nonetheless, let's go over the standards. This match gets 3 check marks, but how would you get 3 check marks if it was a competitive match? First check mark, if both people look good. Second check mark, if the correct person is put over in a way that is definitive. And then a third check mark, if something feels like it is advanced, either character-wise or for possible use on Dynamite, getting into a new feud, that kind of thing. Speaking of competitive matches, we'll go ahead and call the next one a competitive match. Ethan Page against Mike Seidel. Now, Scorpio Sky is on commentary for Ethan Page. The commentary, not so great. Scorpio Sky, I really want him to continue to work on that aspect of the game. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying if he's going to do it, Scorpio Sky's got to focus in. A little bit too much of the heel, aren't we great stuff. I don't think they need to push that button anymore. At this point, it's really getting across ideas and stories that they can be involved in possibly in the future. That should be the primary job of the guest commentator who is actively wrestling, in my opinion. And of course, because it is my opinion, it is the correct one. Seidel escapes the finisher at one point and lands a thrust kick. Mike Seidel dropping into the splits for a leg sweep was super awesome. At one point, though, he catches Seidel's standing moonsault and then hits him with his move and gets the win. Do they both look good? Yes, that's a check mark. Does Ethan Page look very dominant in the win? Yes, that's a check mark. And then is something advanced? And I should say yes. They're sort of teasing this idea of Matt and Mike Seidel possibly against Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Next match, doom, 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 the Acclaimed. So the Acclaimed against Alex Reynolds and number 5 of the Dark Order. We'll go ahead and call this competitive as well. Max Caster, I have been a fan since the beginning. A lot of other people were not a fan, and now it seems like everybody has come around. I don't mind being in front all the time if someone could just hand me water as I win the race continually again and again. Max Caster makes all kinds of crazy references as usual. He actually made an allusion to John Cena on Wipeout, which is a TBS show. Fantastic. I'm sure the Turner Broadcasting is thrilled about that. And on we go. Out of respect for the Dark Order, they cheat to win, even though I think you could say that the Acclaim are on a higher plane, certainly than Alex Reynolds and number 5. But nonetheless, I like that whenever they're in a match that can be even deemed partially competitive, they cheat to win, and it keeps them heel. They're going to have to work overtime to keep the Acclaimed heel. Just a lot of charisma there. A lot of steadily improving ring work. They get a check mark because both teams look good. They get a second check mark because, again, really the Acclaimed putting over that notion of we cheat to win. They're one of the few teams that actually cheat to win, even though there are other heels. And a third check mark because something feels advanced between them and the Dark Order in general. Next match, Chris Statlander, always great to see her, against Queen Aminata. And I said a couple of weeks ago that I hope they keep bringing back the Queen, and so they have. Both of them hit big moves throughout this match. And I loved that she got into her finisher countering a move from Queen Aminata. These are small things, but these are the things that that wrestlers can do to make even the wrestlers who are being defeated in definitive fashion look good, to help them get a job or help them be asked to return. So big props to Chris Statlander. I see you. And 3 check marks most definitely. I think we're having 3 check marks all night. Next match, I'm going to call it competitive. We've got JD Drake, beloved on the indies, and Ryan Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler's brother, taking on the Varsity Blondes, and Julia Hart is there as well. At ringside is also Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi, who are the opposite on the hot, sexy scale than Julia Hart. The match is a very good one. You can tell that these guys have worked each other in somehow, some way. They keep coming up with funky ass shit like every single day. And then good match, good showing for JD Drake. The springboard lariat gets the win for the Varsity Blondes. And it is amazing, isn't it, how the addition of Julia Hart at ringside for them as their cheerleader, they put them in the Letterman's jackets, and all of a sudden they look like a main event style tag team. It's really good stuff from everybody here. They get a check mark because both teams look good. They get a second check mark because the Varsity Blondes win in definitive fashion. And a third check mark because we are advancing this notion that the Varsity Blondes are a main event style tag team. Hikaru Shida and Diamante. What can you say? Hikaru Shida and Diamante looked really, really fantastic here. Hikaru Shida's new look, which was much more of a serious look, less ornamental and more warrior, I think is a really good look for her. Diamante, I know a lot of people would say, oh, it's a shame that Diamante has fallen into this role. It's a perfect role for Diamante, where she's good enough to beat the kind of newer people, but she tends to lose to the more established stars. It's a perfect role for her, and her ring work is, she's in the good hand role. That doesn't mean that it's going to be that way permanently, but it is a proper role for her. But I'm going to call this a competitive match, right? Hits the spinning knee, and Shida gets the win. This match is pivotal because, again, Shida lost a big match, right? She lost the title. And I think her coming out with a slightly different look, an edgier look, and gaining a win in a competitive match in the main event of a B show is the right way to go. So 3 check marks, guess what? That's 3 check marks all night long for the 4th time in the 13-show series of AEW Dark Elevation. Great stuff. My favorite episode to date, really started by that great promo by Santana and Ortiz. In any case, I'm Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling.